Hello, hello. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. We're just waiting for people to trickle in. We're going to start in about 5 minutes. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Community Corner Conversations, our live series. Thank you for joining us this Wednesday evening. We're going to start in about 4 minutes. Really excited for today. We're just going to have some music in the background. Let me know if you can hear the music. Just give me like a thumbs up or something if you can hear the music. Hello, Jillian. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Community Corner Conversations. We're going to start in about 3 minutes. Oh, you can hear the music. Okay, good. Great. Cool. Welcome. We're going to start in about 3 minutes, just waiting for people to trickle in. Thank you for being early, you guys. Thank you. Volume on the music. Okay. Is this better? Let me know if you can hear the music. Yes? Okay, great. Thank you. Hello, Umami Conversations. Hey, Amma, how are you? Hello, Sean. Beautiful, thank you. So we're going to start in about 2 minutes. In the meantime, enjoy the music in the background. Grab some snacks. It's going to be a great evening, I promise you. Oh, Shazam. Okay, so the name of the song, I will write it down in case Shazam didn't help you out. By M-S-A-K-I. Okay. That's the song in the background. So hopefully if Shazam didn't help you out, I will help you out. It's my, my welcome to my living room music, yes? Okay, so we're gonna start in about 30 seconds. Just waiting for one of our guests to arrive, so we're gonna start pretty soon. How's everybody feeling? Let me know. How are you feeling on this Wednesday? How's everything going? Are you good? Are you excited? How has been the last 3 episodes going for you? I know it's a lot of questions. You can answer any which of them, or just say hi. That too works. You're welcome. Hello. Okay. So it's 7 o'clock. The music winter. So welcome everybody. Welcome. Happy Wednesday. Greetings everyone. My name is Zahra Badua. I am the Administrative Assistant here at Dance Immersion. Welcome to our Community Corner conversations. So these conversations have been going on for the past couple of weeks. This is our third episode, so our third week. And we just invite people from the community to talk about the upkeep and the preservations of our dance cultures, our traditions, and our practices. Yes, how do we keep them from one generation to another? So today we have two amazing guests, but before I talk about them, I am going to bring them into my living room, and then we're gonna get this. Give me a moment. Sometimes technology. We got the first. Hello. Pretty people. Oh, hi,
right.
people. How are you? Good evening.
How you doing? How you doing, Queens? How you doing?
I'm good, Brother Mike. How are you?
I am well. I am well and well.
Good. Sister Coco, how are you?
Zoom meeting number 3. I am blessed and happy.
She's always on the go, this one. Always on the go. So welcome. So before we get started, I'm going to introduce these two lovely people. Everybody is so dear to my heart. So I just love everybody that has been on the show, including the both of you. So first of all, thank you for accepting the invitation. My heart is like, you guys know how I feel about you. So yeah. So we're going to start with, well, he's on my right. So Mr. Mike Truth, Boogie Mike. So Mike is a multidisciplinary artist with a specialization in writing, poetry, and music. He's a multilingual recording artist and live performer. So we have English, French, Tree, Spanish.
Exactly.
And I'm missing one, I believe.
And then I dabble between Italian, Portuguese, and other languages as well. But the main four that I do mine in is the ones you listed for Tree, English, French, Spanish. That's the main four that I do my art mostly in.
Multi-talented, multilingual. He's experienced in event planning and curator. He's the founder of the Dark Room Sessions, which is an open mic session on Instagram and Beyond the 5-Minute Talk Show. And he's also the co-producer of the Elephant Room TV. Welcome, Mike Truth. Welcome.
Thank you.
And then we have Collette Murray, also known as Miss Coco. Collette Murray is a dance educator and cultural arts programmer with a performance background in Caribbean folk, traditional West African, and other diasporic dance styles with Toronto-based companies. Murray holds a Master of Education and Specialized Honor BA in Race, Ethnicity, and Indigeneity from York University, and a Sociology Bachelor from the University of Toronto. Her graduate research centers on perspective of Black arts educators, experiences using culturally responsive teaching in Ontario, Canada. Her artistry includes teaching, arts education, mentorship, research, and community arts engagement. This award-winning artist is recognized as one of the 100 accomplished Black Canadian women honorees in 2020, 2019 recipient of the Toronto Arts Foundation Community Arts Award and Canadian Dance Assembly in 2013, recipient of the I Love Community Award. Along with Miss Coco Murray, her mobile dance education business, Murray is also the artistic director of Coco Collective, an intergenerational group offering culturally responsive project to connect participants, organizations, and schools to African and Caribbean arts. Murray is a contributing writer published in dance media. Her advocacy includes serving on the National Council for Canadian Dance Assembly, the Board of Directors for Arts Etobicoke, and the Dance Umbrella of Ontario, also known as DUO, to bring equity, education, inclusion lens to their organization. Murray currently pursues a PhD in dance studies at York University. Welcome, 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 lovely people. I am so excited to engage in this conversation with you. So without further ado, let's begin. If you're ready, I'm ready.
We're ready. Are
Here
you
we
ready?
go.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I am ready.
So this question goes to the both of you. So anybody who wants to start, when you started your art form, who were the people that you considered your elders, and why?
Queen, you could go ahead.
I'm gonna start. Okay. When I started, I would honestly say the word elder didn't really come up at first. I typically looked at anyone that had skill sets, anyone, whether it was a peer, whether they were older than me, younger than me, anybody that had skill sets. I looked at that person as this is someone I can learn from. So the concept of an elder kind of came later for me as I immersed myself more in the dance community and understanding, of course, the trajectory of how things are passed on. So the elders that I looked up to were ones that would have conversations with me, that would share wisdom, that of course would share dance information, rhythmic information, life information. So a whole holistic set of skill sets that they would share with me. So that's what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's so beautiful. And for me, like it's a literal expression. So elders, it was actually one of my older brothers, Richmond, and it was my breaking into my art forms. It started very young because it started by me just watching and being around my older brother Richmond, because he's an amazing dancer, and he's very much so he would dance and he would do everything, play different sports. So by virtue of just being around with him, it wasn't a direct him taking my hand, but much more so how he would express himself. And that's like my earliest memory of somebody catching my eye, primarily through dancing, and then afterwards through the music that they were taking in when we first moved from Ghana to North America. So it was really him. Richmond was like the main one. My eldest brother Kwaku as well, but Richmond he is somebody who deeply influences me. I don't even think he knows it, but just by virtue of him being himself, I took in so much, and it influenced me so much that in my in growing up, then the different environments that I was in. So in the Bronx, Montreal, and just different parts, different cities where I've lived in, the outside environment started influencing, just like started shaping my art form, and just what is beautiful, what is not, and just started giving me ideas as to how to maneuver and how to express it.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. So both of you kind of touched upon it. So the either your brother or your peers that you were looking up to, you talked about they kind of shared more in terms of like life experience and how to maneuver this world. So I was wondering if you can elaborate on what else you learned from them in terms of life experience other than your art form.
Of course, how to navigate the dance community. Sometimes it's informal lessons. Sometimes it's conversations about experiences that they have gone through. All of those were teaching tools for me as I entered into the dance community. So I would ask questions of peers. I would even ask questions of elders at that point too, just to get more information. So they saw that the intent was to really learn more and to immerse myself in the community. Given that I'm not born in the continent, I'm born in Toronto, but also I'm from the diaspora by way of another continent, South America, where my family is from, but living this Canadian experience, but also having access to a Brooklyn experience. It's like, so all these things feed into learning a lot of life lessons and seeing a lot of things, and then learning the business of the arts.
Mm-hmm. The
That's so
navigating,
beautiful.
yes.
No, that's so beautiful, and for me, like how I was mentioning Richmond, it was very much it was a non-hands-on um, influence that he had on me, because I like I said, I don't even think he realized how much it was impacting me, and how that informed myself in my walk through the different disciplines that I have is that sometimes we don't even know who's watching us as we're doing what we do, and we greatly get inspired from that, because with Richmond, from my formative years, really, when we go to events, how he would live life and like really be very happy and everything, that sparked a certain interest to like within my young mind. And then later on, as I grew, and like even if I'm going to school or wherever where there's an event, it taught me how to also behave as well. And then it taught me, I'm watching him do certain dance moves. I'm now replicating these same dance moves in my own circles. And then, so from dancing, that led me on to music as well. But that's an even more, intricate story that maybe I'll probably tap on later. So that led me into music, and some of the people that influenced me in music, actually, well, Tupac, the very, very, very big influence and force, and then KRS-One. And so in growing up in the Bronx, I had never met KRS-One. Ironically, I met KRS-One in Ottawa, which was like one of the most it was like, it's one of the weirdest things. But when I did meet KRS-One, like the words of wisdom that he always shares, it really, really, it really moved me, in the sense where like what he opened me up to was the power of visualizing and manifesting. He brought forward the point of how, like the oh my god, the message, the first, like one of the first rap songs, it had messages in there where the artists that were singing it, they didn't have what they were rapping about. However, there was it was a form of visualization and manifestation. So that really stuck with me, and that's something I carried with me. And in the same city of Ottawa as well, now going back to dancing, I was in a dance crew, diverse back then. I met, a friend of mine who I consider an elder in the dance world. His name is Disciple D, because he's a freestyle slash hip hop dancer. He taught me a lot of basics when it comes to tutting and and the pop and locking. So with him, he became an elder of sorts. He now became a bit more of the hands-on elder that I needed in the field of dancing. So like, yeah, like it was it started off very hands-off, and then as I journeyed on, I met different individuals who now they became okay. Like Duans, who was very much okay, this is how you do such move and whatever. Like,
Beautiful. So talking about manifesting throughout your career, all these either informal training, training by observing, by asking questions, by help somebody help you navigate. How has that helped you throughout your career?
I would say very beneficial, because of course you have to go through your own journey and your own lived experience, and you pay your dues. I will say I paid my dues in the dance community. So the lessons that I learned from others, I kind of, again, would be strategic in how I would operate. You want to avoid certain things, but you also want to be able to be open to opportunities as well. So that's what I would say. Everything that I was either experiencing, any conversation I would have, anything I would observe, all of that would inform how I would move going forward as I was navigating the dance community. Because at the same time, I wasn't a full-time dancer. I was dancing with many companies, but juggling a full-time job at the same time in another industry, and juggling post-secondary. So if I'm navigating all of that, you have about this amount of time. So yeah, you're going to have your bumps and bruises, but you're going to have the triumphs too. So I would say everything helped to inform the journey, whether it was good, bad, or in between.
I really love that. And for me, I think the biggest impact, it was really understanding the purpose of the different art forms and how I was expressing myself, the purpose, and also the authenticity in it too, because a lot of these people, so for example, somebody like Dwell, some disciple, he really the way he is dance, like he's dance, like if it's not dance, then like for him there's nothing else for him. And that was a passion that I really it stuck to me, like I really admired. And then I'm talking about KRS-One, and then everybody else that I really saw really giving themselves into the craft. They believe in something more than what society is ascribing to them. And for me, that's something that it really stuck with me, in the sense where, what, if I'm going to jump in this, then I really need to invest at least mental space, and also like give a bit of my soul into it, in a sense where, so if it's writing music, then really being able to observe what is going on in the world. And if it's commentary, if it's partaking, just like from which angle I'm going to take it in. And then if I'm dancing as well, sometimes it becomes very cerebral for me, and sometimes I just get lost in it as well. So like it's this constant maneuvering and like navigating that, like our giftings, how I approach our giftings. It's this constant maneuvering that I'm kind of going between. Sometimes when you see myself, when I'm on stage with my music partner Dolo, there's a certain energy that once we grab the microphone, it becomes cerebral at first, as to, okay, this is what people need to feel in this moment, so we're going to up this energy at this time. And then once you start it, and then you're in it, as both of you queens can attest, you just get lost in the everything that's going on. You just get lost in it so much that like people just now start feeling what you're feeling so authentically. So like for me, I think the impact is like authenticity, and also really like devoting themselves into like the crafts. That's the impact that they had on me.
Definitely. We have Sutherland Artistry, who said, "We emulate those we admire and adapt their ways into our daily habits," which is what both of you have said. Like you whether you were doing it part time, or you were doing it full time, it was so ingrained in you. It was so cerebral. It was so spiritual that it wasn't, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm getting that is it wasn't really work, right? It wasn't something that you, whether you were busy or not, that you had to think about, because it was so innate, and it was so something that whether you were working or not, it was building within you. The craft was building within you, and now it's expressing itself through your art form, through your artistry, right? In whatever facet that it is, right? Whether it's dancing, whether it's poetry, whether it's rapping, whether it's singing, right? Is that where I'm getting?
No, absolutely, 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 and you said, you're right on the ball with it, and to Queen Coco's point as well, like, because I love how she made the distinction as well. If I was working, but then I had this, because you're right. It doesn't become work. Yes, obviously there's certain administrative parts to it, but like Queen Coco was saying, it's something that we get. It's our gift, and it's our craft. I mean, so when you are in that zone, it's just like it's otherworldly, and everything else is everything else. So yeah, I definitely agree with that point.
Oh, I love it. So, okay. So now you've had all these teachings, right? So you've had these teachings, you've had somebody help you navigate this big world we called art. What do you do to keep those teachings, to preserve the teaching that was bestowed on you? Are there any particular things that you do? What has been your experience to be able to hold on to what you've learned throughout? So whether it's through your peers, your elders, your brother, how have you managed to preserve those teachings throughout your career or have they preserved? I don't want to assume that you're actually preserving it. So if you are, how are you doing it? If you haven't, what happened there as well?
I would say I have a multifaceted answer. So even though the order wasn't as linear as you described, so basically I'm learning from people, but I'm also having to seek other people out to gain more learning as well. I also have to be intentional about why am I doing it and look at my own positionality as to how much am I going to invest myself in this. So I deeply invested in the journey. I even brought it into my academia. I even brought it in terms of, okay, I'm going to study abroad. I'm going to like really immerse myself in this. I'm going to connect with how many master teachers I can find all the communities I can find. I'm going to travel to the continent. I'm going to immerse myself as much as I can in these limited amounts of time because, again, I'm juggling it around other priorities. But this is a priority too. So, yeah, I would say it's a combination of investing in actual movement and rhythmic training. I would say it's investing in studying the culture, the politics, the history, the culture. I would say it's also finding ways to intersect it with my academic research and writing. I also, in terms of preserving, this is where the teaching comes in. So whatever I was trying to learn and immerse myself in, I understood the responsibility. If I'm going to pass this on to somebody else, I'm teaching to somebody else, I got to make sure that I am well versed in what I'm talking about and what I am sharing with the community and where I'm sharing it and how I'm going to share it. So the preservation comes in, it's not linear. So this analogy about, you have the tree and you have the roots. That's this ideal of like, there's this one single source. I'm coming from the diaspora where I don't have a connection with a single source. So there's this term that I was reading in post-colonial cultural studies. I think it's Kiamu Brathett. His concept of tidalectics. So think about the ocean, because of course our ancestors went across many oceans, right? So think about this concept of waves going back and forth, up and down, like there could be a chaotic moment here, it could be a tide here, like it's not a linear experience. So I would say the preservation comes from, yes, I want to know where I'm coming from and make as many connections as I can to history and past and immerse myself and learn the politics, the history, the culture, etc. But I also have to be understanding of my present and figure out where am I going. So the routes are not linear. It is in multiple directions. And it's immersed in many different spaces. And as you can see, I'm doing it across multiple sectors. So I'm trying to preserve in that way. Long answer, but that's why it's multifaceted.
Thank
Oh
you.
my God. And that wow, that actually it's what you explained is something I really, really, really wholeheartedly I agree in the sense where how I view it is diving in and really understanding what it is that we are working with here, like how to properly, I guess, dissect and really understand. So with the aspect of going back in the Akan tradition, we have this thing called Sankofa, and exactly. I mean, so we by just us dissecting and understanding what it is, where we're going back to really to be able to affect the future. For me personally, I really took time to stay with the different crafts. So when it was dancing, I would the long hours just practicing, just hearing music and really feeling it out, spending time and just actually understanding the different beats, different rhythms, different, like just understanding my body, how I feel. And then when it comes to poetry as well, spending time with words, really, really looking at words within words, like, and like how the correlation between different words, and really understanding what they mean. What are they saying to me? What is my own noun? Like what do I understand from this language that's going on? If I see somebody else, do a poetic piece or a dance piece or whatever it is, really. Oh, I'm not sure if you queens could hear me. Am I going in and out, or are y'all able to hear me?
It's a little, I can hear you right now. At first it was a little choppy, but now I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So it's a matter of just really being able to take all the information outside of myself, watching others around me, how they utilize, their giftings. And then myself really trying to understand what I understand from what I was taught, what they're doing, how do I, how do I interpret these giftings? And then how I transfer it is through, so back then I used to do classes, I used to do, I used to teach dance classes. And then when it comes to poetry, creating community where people could come together and be exposed in the same manner as well to different artists doing their own craft, and for them to better understand them as like themselves as well. Because I've seen situations where a person will come into the darkroom session and there's so much inspiration that's happening, almost like in the same way as how I got inspired to get into the realm of arts, where it's a communal inspiration that's happening, where you hear somebody do it, a dance piece, or sing, hit certain notes, or say certain phrases that it really touches you. So for me, by creating these spaces, that's my way of kind of giving back. And lastly, I end up here, like, it's so cool now because my big brother Richmond, he has children of his own, and so whenever I'm around him, I purposely go all out, and I do things where I know a child can say, "Oh, that's so cool. How do you do that?" And his daughter she's a phenomenal dancer. She's only 7 now. She's an amazing dancer. Like you could tell, you could see when a child had they have that. So it's like to Queen's point, it's really about us taking in, understanding, and then by virtue of us kind of dissecting it, we're able to kind of affect the future at the same time. Like yeah, that's a point that I really agree with.
Hmm. So, from what I'm understanding for the both of you, what was really important is the immersion into that art form, or spending time with the master teacher, the master drummer, or your brother, or the rapper, or it's just basically being fully immersed in its art form, but in its purity as well. Right? Because we can be immersed in something, but if it's not in the pureness of it, or I should say the root of it, then maybe you might not get its true essence. Right?
Yes.
And then for you, once you got those teachings, to kind of evaluate, okay, so I got those teachings now, how does that apply to me? And then how will that apply into the future, right? So as I like to call it, your yellow brick road, which is your life. So how does that apply into your life in whatever facet? Like, I know we're really touching a lot on the art form, but, and both of you could correct me if I'm wrong, but at the end of the day, art is life, right? And life is art. It's kind of hard to especially when you're artists, it's kind of hard to say, where does art begin and end, and where does life begin and end, because they're so intertwined, right? We were talking about intersectionality. They're so entwined. So I'm going to throw the question back at you. Why was it so important to be really immersed into that art form, or really be in that space? Whatever space that would be, why was that so important to you? And how do you think now, looking back on it, was beneficial? I know it's a long question, but.
Do you want to start, Mike, or should I?
Sure. I'll start. So for me, is especially for myself, like arts, culture, and like everything, it really has a lot to do with identity, and who we identify as deeply. And being from a Ghanaian background, a thing that I observed actually, and like, I mean, there may be difference in opinions. I believe that a lot of the Ghanaian side of immigration, so people that were born back home and that immigrated, sometimes in order to fit in, they really were leaving a bit of what they know, their cultures and their traditions, dances, way of expression, mannerisms, at the door in order to fit into this new culture and society. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it became very important for me to understand where I come from, whether it's through keeping in speaking tree or doing my art in tree or whatnot. It's very important for me to understand that and really have that be a part of the conversation, so that my identity as a Ghanaian person doesn't get lost across the ocean. And because they unfortunately, for our ancestors that were enslaved, that were brought across, they were stripped of that. And so for me, it's a certain privilege that I carry, and I don't want to just give it away and lose it. And so that's something where I almost feel like it's my duty to be able to share with a lot of my cousins and family here what it is that I know about being Ghanaian, and hopefully through me sharing and expressing how I do, it could bring some type of connection as well to the family in the diaspora. So that's why for me it's very, very important to keep to keep grounded in the things that was gifted to me, into the arts and everything that was given to me, really preserving our culture in that way. I don't know if that makes sense, but very long-winded.
No, that's beautiful. Coco, what about you?
So I'm on the opposite side of the coin. So when you're starting from a position where you don't know things and you're living in an assimilated society, and your family comes from historically colonial spaces, you don't have access to this information. I'm not one of the people who was born in an endogamous clan where there's generational drummers and dancers, and there's a lineage of how you learn that, right? So I'm learning in the Toronto space for the first time from professional artists and colleagues. And so I'm learning from people who are coming from generational families of artisans, and I'm coming from a non-dancer, non-drumming family. So I'm like the only one in my immediate family that's immersed in this, right? So I'm learning about cultures that are outside of the one that my family is from. So that means there's care. I have to be responsible in how I'm doing that. Yes, I'm from the diaspora, but I'm also learning about many cultures that I don't live, I don't breathe, I don't speak the language, because I'm Canadian. I'm born in Canada, right? So to make connections with the continent or even with the Caribbean space, I'm learning another culture or many cultures. So it's about having to do a lot more work to understand the history, the politics, the culture, the economic impacts, all of these things. And then the history, and then you're learning the movement vernacular, you're learning the purpose, the meaning, and the why. And then you're learning about how people are using this as part of their social life and reality, but you're also learning about how they're using it as a means of resistance. You're learning about how they create, how they innovate, all of these things. So I would say that takes a lot of work. So this is why, for me, anyone who knows me, it's been 20 plus years I'm immersing myself in this, and I'm still doing it. I'm even doing it in my doctoral work. So it's an ongoing thing. It's an ongoing dynamic that you have to be really invested and constantly learn and invest in this information, because it's not a static thing that I'm learning. I'm learning something that is evolving, that's changing, that's shifting, that's adapting. So we're saying preserving, but at the same time, this conversation is about, yes, there are particular dances that were done for specific reasons by particular ethnic groups.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also colonization that has impacted that. So then we shifted, and then we created new hybridizations and new innovative forms of movement and rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
You got to know that too. That's also part of the journey. And then we also have innovation where we want to learn about, okay, what's going to happen in the future. We have fusions now.
Mm-hmm.
We have so many different genres to learn from. So that's like, there's past, there's present, there's future, quote unquote, colonial, post-colonial, all these different labels. But there's a whole range of information to learn. So it's not like something that I can ever stop learning. I'm going to learn as much as I can. So this is an ongoing journey for me.
Mm-hmm.
And my quest of doing this, I also make sure I also pave it forward. Mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at whoever's coming behind me, whoever is interested in learning this and truly wants to know this. If you connect with people who really care and are invested, you're going to get a bigger picture than simply just going into a group and replicating movement. Because that's not what this is. This is safe. This is something that we're looking at a community that's somewhat a bit fragmented. We got to have people who are really invested in learning all genres, not just a particular era and let's ignore everything else. Who wants to know the breadth of all of it? So that's kind of where my headspace is. So this is an ongoing thing. So I don't know. There's never going to be an end. It's going to keep going.
Yeah.
There's always work to do.
There's always. That's like knowing Coco. That's like her sentence all the time. There's always work to do. Because, and I think Mike, you said that earlier. And Emily also said that it's a part of our culture, it's a part of who we are. It's identity.
Yeah.
Right? So it never stops because you never stop. Even as a person, you always get to learn new things about yourself. You're always growing. The person that you were yesterday will not be the person that you will be tomorrow and going forward, right? And then also to kind of use your analogy of the ocean, right? So wherever you are in this wave, whether it's like you can go back one generation, like Mike can be able to go to your brother and say, okay, well, how do we do Bobo, how do we do Palogo, or you know, Miss Coco, you have to seek those people out because you don't have that direct, like you said, you don't have that direct lineage. Wherever you find yourself in this wave, it's seeing, okay, well, how can I now take a piece of water, for lack of better words, take a piece of water with me, and what do I do with that? And cultivate its identity in whatever facet that it is, but cultivate its true identity, you know? Because yes, you know, there are the fusions, and then sometimes it's hard to kind of go back to, well, where did it start and where's the root? But also not making sure that it stays stagnant, because at the end of the day, culture evolves, you know, culture grows, we grow as people, we grow as a culture, right? So let's segue a little bit. Speaking about we grow, there has been something that's been growing for the past, I would say, decade that has become an entity or a beast on its own, also known as social media. Yes. So speaking of social media, do you think, actually not do you think, how do you think it has impacted the African and the Caribbean dances and cultures? I know that's a loaded question, so you can take some time.
Oh man,
Mike, go first.
So it has opened up. It has opened it up to a lot, and I mean, like it's and for me, like how I live it has really opened us up to more connections, because if basically like I wasn't able to, you know, afford a ticket to go back home, I'm able to now connect with people back home and in Ghana, and then also in the Caribbeans. And, you know, from there, we're able to meet and, you know, really, really have meaningful conversations, share meaningful information that really, you know, impacts us. So it had opened up to everything. And for me, the point that I'm in is the point of connection. Because even in this conversation here, part of the connection is, like, it's some people that I've never met in person, but they're back home. They're in this conversation that we have right now. So that's, the power of social media for me. Yes, that's that's where like I'm at with it. I know there's there's a lot more, and it just had opened up to a lot of connections. That's my standpoint on it for social media.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So given that we probably both have danced before social media was created, because I know I have. This entity of social media, it's dangerous in one aspect, because it creates is a socialization, this behavior of, I don't want to learn, I just want to consume. And that whole process I just explained, which is really a investment to immerse yourself with the teacher, get the teachings, be in the community, see the rhythms, the sites, the culture, the politics. That kind of gets taken away because somebody wants a minute, somebody wants 3 seconds of a spotlight. So the intentions change. So yes, consumer culture has been there, but it's how we as individuals approach it. So it's dangerous in the sense that there are people who want more fame and may not want to research and learn and immerse themselves using the pathway that I'm describing, right? Or what I'm going through, because that's going to take too long. Let me just look at a video, replicate the movement, and then get 10,000 likes, and then my ego is gassed up, right? So that becomes the priority versus I care about the culture. I'm investing in the community, and I'm going to do things to move it forward and preserve. If you use it correctly, yes, it's for connections across borders. Because yes, now I can see what's happening in a part of the continent that's different from the imagery that we see on TV, the negative stereotypes. I can see the movement that's in Uganda. I can see the movement that's in Mozambique. I can see the movement in South Africa. I can see what's happening in Ethiopia. I can see what's happening in Grenada. I can see what's happening here and there. So I can see things, but I also can make connections and connect with different teachers, other sport scholars, in dance. I can connect across oceans with people who want to really take this seriously. So that's a positive side as well. At the same time, it's technology. So our relationship with technology is going to change. So we have to be strategic in how are we going to use technology to keep preserving the work that we're doing, as opposed to let technology consume and colonize us.
Yeah, I think just like anything, it's the yin and the yang, right? The positive and the negative. So it's one of those things where, and I've asked this question, I've asked these questions 1,000 times to so many people, and those who know me, that's like my constant, that's my one line, right? That's my one question. And it's difficult because it's like on one hand, like you say, Mike, there's connections, right? Gone are the days where I have to pay almost $2,000 to go back home in order to learn ABC, right? Now I can pick up the phone. There's WhatsApp, there's Instagram, there's Zoom, you name it, right? Especially now we're in this, I have decided I'm no longer calling it a pandemic, COVID. I'm done with those words. So when life went on pause, the world became smaller because now we were able to connect better with each other because of this thing called social media, right? So like you said, Coco, I was able to directly see what was happening in Ghana or Nigeria or so on and so forth, right? But on the flip end, and I think Justify had also wrote it down, there's no context. So even if you are watching ABC, you don't know the context. So you don't know the economic status, you don't know the politics, you don't know the situation, you don't even know why. So it's like, it's great steps, but why are we doing these steps? right? What is the culture behind we're doing these steps? Are we even allowed to do these steps, right? Because some cultures, these steps might be only for a certain event or a certain person or a certain gender. You know, I can go on and on and on. So I guess it's the responsibility of, yes, we're consuming, but how are we consuming? Should we consume? And then what are we replicating as well, right? Because some of you said, okay, well, you know, you immerse yourself, you took it in, you were cerebral, you were spiritual about it before you decided to teach or to share. But now it's a little easier. I just have to press repost and I just have to like without actually thinking if I was meant to repost or reshare or reteach or whatever other re-English word I can come up with right now. So that's the thing. It's really trying to find that balance. So then would the responsibility fall on the consumer to find that balance? Or can we find that balance?
Yes, consumers are supposed to be responsible. It's if they choose. It's what's their intent. Yes, the agency is there. So it kind of challenges us as teachers too, because we also have to figure out how are we going to teach using these tools, this technology, and these platforms. And these emerging technologies are challenging us, and how are we going to showcase the art? How are we going to preserve the art as well? So the consumer, it needs to be a reciprocal relationship, but that's if their intention is to really learn. Or if it's just, I'm here because I just kind of need a moment, or I want to have an exercise, I want recreation, I want exercise, I just want an escapism. I may want to appropriate. I don't know people's intent, right?
Integrity
So,
and accountability.
Yeah. I don't know.
No, and like and that's the thing. I see the points that y'all are making, that you queens are making, and it makes a lot of sense because yes, I mean I can even add to that. It could take away the personalization, the actual humanness of it, because I mean there's so much more to it, and I find that initially for me. I guess like on my journey like as well if I have been exposed to much more of the potential, like the connection aspect and like the genuine learning aspect of it, and like I think it's in this conversation, as you know, y'all are bringing up the other side of appropriation, if that's what it is, appropriation. Yes, it definitely like brings forth avenues for people to come and appropriate other people's cultures and take it for their own.
Oh, I think we lost you. Don't go. Come back.
Right in the middle of an important point.
I know. Can everybody send like beautiful vibes to Mike's internet for it to not? The devil is a liar, because I feel like he was on a brink of a beautiful point. Okay, we'll just kind of give it a minute. Oh, and he left. He'll be back. Okay, so while he's coming back, if anybody has any questions, do not hesitate to put it in the chat or any comments. I love how you guys have been engaging with us, and hopefully Mike will be back soon. Because I think that his point was really, really, I felt that it was coming. So hopefully he will be back soon. Yeah, that's that. But just to kind of go on in the because I think he made me think of something as well, and I think Coco, you touched upon it before. It's also knowing what they're doing it for, because not many people, is just to pass time, right? We spend 18 months in our house not having much to do, so it's just a question of passing time. So depending on the reasons where we're at or why we're using this, then we might have responsibility or we might not have responsibility. So it's just kind of having our personal thing. But if you do come to a point where you're like, okay, I want to do ABC, then, then it's up to you. Okay, so we have a question here, and it says, wouldn't they agree that distribution via them in social media is better than seeing it by wider mainstream? I will let you handle that.
Oh, wait, repeat the question?
Okay, I'll repeat the question. So, wouldn't they agree that distribution via social media is better than seeing it by wider mainstream media?
Again, that's a whole different beast. What I would say is, even though I know people who are intentionally trying to enter our diasporic forms of movement and rhythm into the mainstream space, we have already seen it. We've seen some examples already in movies. Glad to have you back.
Welcome back.
Yeah. So even though we've seen it in the mainstream, we're seeing it on some of these concert stages. We see some of the artists, some of the choreographers are just let's just okay, let's bring it over here. So, like for example, what was it? Was it MTV? It was Busta Rhymes tribute. There's people that I know that were on that stage performing. It was good to see drummers and Africanist movement on that stage because you know it's good to see that. I would say anywhere that it could be shown, we do exist. So if it's only in social media, why does it have to only be relegated there? That's my point. It can be in the movies, it could be on the stages, it could be in festivals, it could be in Broadway. Fela was on Broadway, right? So it could be in spaces that we intend to take it because we don't want the industry to tell us where we're supposed to exist.
Mm-hmm. So basically have it live beyond my screen, my phone screen, right? Because it's much bigger than that.
In our community space only, or just in our drum and dance networks, or just live on social media or YouTube or these different platforms. It could be everywhere where entertainment and engagements are. I think it should be.
Beautiful. Welcome back, Mike.
I know, right? Like, shoot.
You were in the middle of a point. I don't know if you still remember it or if you just want to jump on. The question that we had from before, I can ask you that, or you can go back to the point that you had before technology decided to do things.
I know, right? Actually, it ties in a bit to what Queen was saying, actually, in the sense of so yes, social media, from like to kind of cut it short, it is a connection point from my perspective, but then it doesn't have to stop there. They use it to really build and build beyond the social media. That's basically like the ultimate goal. That's where I wanted to get at, in the sense where yes, like us utilizing it as a connection point and like a rallying point. Because for me right now, when I do look at culture, traditions, and everything, I'm very intentional. I know where I want to connect with. I know whom I want to connect with, and if anything else comes in, okay, cool. But now it's almost like saving me a plane ticket from going from A to Z. And also now whenever I'm going anywhere, it allows me to be much more intentional as to, okay, boom, I'm going to Jamaica because this is where I want to learn. This is where I'm going to Ghana because this is what so that's the point. But Queen tied it in very, very lovely. Yes.
Yeah, so it really becomes in terms of like your integrity and accountability, right? So social media can be your starting point. So like you said, I can see something and be like, oh, that's what's happening in Jamaica. Okay, boom. If I'm able to travel, I'll go. Or if I have the funds, I can go to Jamaica. But just like not let it birth, nurture everything on this, this thing that we call social media, right? This one says, breaking the shackles of not having, owning, claiming space in this world. That is a whole sentence. Yes.
Yes, Charlie. Claim space.
Yes, it's claiming our space. Or reclaiming our space, I should say, as well. Yes. So I have a question. So this is my last question, but if anybody else has any question, there's the question icon and you can ask it or you can just type it in the comments. So what are some key practices or or lessons that you wish to teach the younger generation, or you're already teaching the younger generation? Because I know both of you in your different forms and facets already do mentorships and bestowing information and knowledge on youth. So what are the key practices that you're either already doing or that you would like to do more for the younger generation?
Yeah, for me, if they have an opportunity to travel and experience the culture and the communities in which dances emerge and live and thrive, do it.
Mm.
It's not enough just to see it on YouTube or Instagram or any of these little platforms. When you're in the experience, it's life-changing. It really expands your mind and see different communities, because I've seen intergenerational dance communities in the United States. I've also seen it in the Caribbean, and I've seen it in the continent. It's something to see. It's something to experience. Just quietly just be in the experience and just observe. These are all life lessons too that will help inform your dance experience. So study abroad. I wish I was able to do it sooner, but I'm glad that I did it. As you can see, I'm still in Toronto, so I would like to travel again, but I'm pumping my brakes because normally I would. But yeah, I would say that, as well as surround yourself with people who want to see you grow.
I love that. I love that, especially the traveling more part. That is something where like it's been apparent, but especially in these recent times, like for me, it has been extremely apparent. Like, you know what, like being able to, expand on being able to travel more is something where if you are able to, like definitely do so. And what I would add to that is, like, yes, fun. You know what? Find yourself, and be loud in who you are, in your identity, because that's what ultimately will. Like, I believe that it will preserve your culture, and your legacy, and everything else that follows. Like your greatness. There's nothing that you should suppress about yourself. Find yourself and be proud of who you are, and walk in your power, because that's ultimately what oftentimes society, if you're not careful, society will try to take away from you. So be loud in your culture, and like find yourself. That's what
I love that. Be you, be true, be loud, and travel.
Yes.
I would also add another point.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody pays it forward for you, pay it forward for someone else.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I think there's this saying. Is it what is it? Teach one, learn one. There's I'm not saying it properly, but I know there's a saying. I don't know if you guys remember that saying.
Each one, teach one.
Teach one, teach one. That's what it is, or teach one.
No, each
If
one,
anybody
teach
else
one.
knows it, if you could type it in the comments. I know that it's a thing. It's not coming to my head right now. But it's to pay it forward. At the end of the day, especially when it comes to African and Caribbean cultures, no man is an island. Right? No man is an island. We are a village. So we have to continuously help each other. And at the end of the day, like what I believe is like everybody's kind of a puzzle. So, the talent that Mike has, the talent that Coco has, the talent that I have can all be used with each other, not competing against each other, but with each other, right? To build this bigger thing. I don't know what the thing would be, but whatever it is, just to build this bigger thing. So constantly, dig within yourself, continue to be you, explore your giftings, but also help others along the way as well, right? Thank you so much. Each one, teach one. I got it.
Yes, there you go.
Thank you. Is there any last words that you would like to say before
Man,
we
really, it's like as the queen has mentioned, like especially now, like in my life, I'm so intent on being able to build community, like find your tribe and build it your tribe. Like I can't stress that enough. To a lot of the Queens' point, don't just use social media to just look at the screen. Really be intentional about how you're using it. Find your tribe, build and grow your fire. I mean, that's the era that we're in right now. If I could kind of say this, like, Master's house is burning, and you need to literally find your tribe. Don't go back into burning house if you can. Find your tribe, build, and really, really like know yourself. Identity is everything. Your culture is, you come from a very strong, powerful culture. The history. Speak to your elders. Seek, like, knowledge if you can. Have conversations with your elders if you can, and know who you are beyond what you've been told. Know who you are for yourself, and live that out. That's all I want to kind of add to it. But thank you so much, Zahra and Queen Coco. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all lives.
Thank you. What about you, Coco? Is there any last thoughts that you would like to share into the space?
My final thoughts would be this is a integrated community. Everybody has strengths. We have to coexist with each other. We can all learn from each other. So it takes a generational community to keep all these practices alive, and to also make sure that we are responsible with it and work with other generations intentionally to get them on board with doing the same. So it takes a lot of work. Yeah. So whatever frustrations you may have, there's rewards, there's light at the end of this tunnel. As long as we get whatever few that really want to invest in this ecology, I think it will be beneficial. Because again, like Zahra was saying, no one's an island. We have to cultivate this community.
Yes, find your tribe and build it. And it's okay to have several tribes, right? I've worked with Mike, I've worked with Miss Coco in different aspects. Hopefully the three of us will also do something. But it's just like to find your different tribe in every different aspect of your life that you should find yourself with. From the bottom of my heart, I just want to thank the both of you. This has been such a great, stimulating conversation, so intriguing. I learned so much from you guys. I continuously learn so much from the both of you because I admire you so much. So I am deeply honored and so grateful that you agreed to be in this conversation. I want to thank everybody that has also joined us this evening. Thank Dance Immersion for this platform, our staff, our founder, Ms. Vivian Scarlett, our program director and curator, Tamia Warren-Suri, our communication assistant, Jillian Grayson. I am the administrative assistant. We are here every Wednesday at 7 o'clock with new guests, new topics. If there's anything that you want to talk to us about or, continue this conversation, you can also email us at info@danceimmersion.ca. Thank you so much. Have a great Wednesday. And I'll see you soon. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye, my friends.
Thank you, Queen Coco. Thank you. Thank you, Zahra.
You're so welcome. I love all of you. Take care. Bye, everybody.